ICE shared with us new claims about Roberts, specifically his criminal record and immigration history.
The agency released this information on Friday, and I took a deeper look into the dates and details listed. Here's a full timeline according to ICE. The following timeline is according to U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. In 1994, ICE says Roberts first entered the United States as a visitor for pleasure, using a B-2 non-immigrant visa. He left at an unknown time. 2 years later, in 1996, his first criminal charge appears as possession of narcotics with intent to sell them. He also was charged with possession of both forgery and forged instruments, meaning there were claims that he made a false document with intent to deceive. Then, in 1998, Roberts was charged with third-degree unauthorized use of a vehicle, though this was later dismissed in 1999. This is also the year when Roberts entered the U.S. 3 different times on an F-1 student visa. In 2000, he applied for employment authorization, and in September, he left and entered the U.S. both in the same month on this same visa. Going to 2001, Roberts applied for a green card. In the same year, his employment authorization expired. In 2003, his application for a green card was denied. Then, in 2004, his F-1 student visa expired. 8 years later, in 2012, he was convicted for a few different things in Maryland at the same time. This includes reckless driving, unsafe operation, and speeding. Moving ahead 6 years to 2018, Roberts applied 3 more times for a green card and was rejected every time. He also filed for employment authorization documents, which expired the next year in 2019. When he filed for these documents again, those would expire in 2020. Now, this is the year when his 4th and final green card application was declined. He also was charged in 2020 with 2nd, 3rd, and 4th degree weapon possession charges, but the 2nd degree charge was incomplete. During this year, he updated his address, but ICE does not say to where. He also received a notice to appear before an immigration judge. 2 years later, in 2022, Roberts was found guilty with unlawful possession of a firearm. Then, in 2024, he was given a final order of removal from the United States, and a Dallas immigration judge denied the motion to reopen his case in 2025. Last Friday, Roberts was detained by ICE, where they found a gun and fixed-blade hunting knife in his possession. On Wednesday, court documents show Roberts was charged as a, quote, illegal alien in possession of firearms. In the days after Roberts' detainment and the new information about him being revealed, members of the Des Moines School Board have faced some heat. But amid the controversy, the board is defending itself. The Associated Press on October 1st reported that Roberts had not completed one of the doctoral degrees he provided on his initial resume to JG Consulting. That was the firm tasked by the district to search for superintendent candidates. JG Consulting flagged the error, and the resume was revised to note that Roberts completed all but his doctoral dissertation, which is required to earn such a degree. In a statement to Local 5, the board claims it was, quote, a victim of deception by Dr. Roberts, one on a growing list that includes our students and teachers, our parents and community, our elected officials, and Iowa's Board of Educational Examiners, and others.
An annual holiday hike in shipping prices through the Postal Service has taken effect. The amount for any given package varies based on a variety of factors like distance and weight. Local 5's J.D. Snover spoke with one local organization feeling the pinch because of it.
The United States Postal Service's annual increase in costs over the holiday season has taken effect. One Iowa organization that relies on shipping packages out of the country says it's coming at a bad time for them.
I'm getting stressed.
The vice president of the Blue Star Mothers of Iowa says the cost to ship care packages overseas has spiked over $10,000 from the beginning of the year, and the latest increase is coming right as they're getting ready to ship them off.
We're either going to have to make a concession for something we purchased for the box and take that money to put towards this additional increase to make up for that shipping cost, or we're going to need more help from the community.
While this is a normal hike in price this time of year, she says it's still coming a little earlier than usual, which messes with their costs.
In February, when we're celebrating Valentine's, we can already see 4th of July things out on the shelves. Well, now the post office seems to be pushing the holiday much sooner.
In a statement, the Postal Service says the temporary price increases will help build a more sustainable and efficient mail network, stating in part, quote, a revitalized organization capable of achieving our public service mission, providing a nationwide integrated network for the delivery of mail and packages at least 6 days a week in a cost-effective and financially sustainable manner. Conway says she understands the need for the hike, but hopes her cause can be an exception.
We all have to tighten our belt at times, and you can tighten your belt. But sometimes you need to be able to release that belt and release a little bit of the pressure, depending upon what the issue is.
She says she's working with Iowa's congressional delegation to find an avenue toward relief, including a possible presidential pardon. In West Des Moines, I'm JD Snowbert, Local 5 News.
Between 2020 and 2024, there were nearly 250 crashes with injuries along a stretch of University Avenue in Des Moines. The corridor between 9th and East 14th Street is a concern for the city, and officials are looking for both short-term and long-term solutions. Local 5's Alex Fulton tells us about the city's roadmap to make the streets safer.
The city of Des Moines wants to eliminate all traffic deaths and serious injuries by 2040. One way it's working towards that goal is by sending out a survey to figure out ways to improve a portion of University Avenue.
University has not changed since I've lived here.
Dina Bennett lives about a block from University Avenue and has seen students try to cut across the street.
We don't have a crosswalk at East 12th or East 13th. And so we are near East High School, Hyatt Middle School, and Carver Elementary School. And so, you know, if kids want to get across, they usually don't want to go to a signal.
She's with the Capitol Park Neighborhood Association and would like the street to become safer for everyone.
We understand that other people who live in our city can't always drive everywhere. It really is, I think, a huge benefit for everybody if we can make things walkable and bikeable in addition to drivable.
That's the type of feedback the City of Des Moines hopes to hear on a new survey on how to improve University between 9th and East 14th. The city has identified the portion of the street as a high injury network corridor.
We haven't programmed any funds per se to actually implement, because we want to find out what the current situation is and what needs to be done to address the various concerns.
As far as improvements, Bennett suggests reconfiguring University Avenue by reducing the 4-lane road into a 3-lane with one in each direction plus a turn lane.
We want to actually see physical change, and we think that that's more than enough time and data is there to make those changes happen now.
The city survey will be open through the end of the year. After that, the city will take the feedback and look at other data to develop different strategies. In Des Moines, Alex Fulton, Local 5 News.
Tensions continue to rise regarding former DMPS Superintendent Ian Roberts' ability to serve the district in light of recent findings that reveal discrepancies in his immigration and criminal background. Now, thank you for joining us. I'm Stephanie Engelson. This issue is not confined to Des Moines. It's gaining the attention of the districts across the U.S. who formerly hired Roberts as well. Local 5's Larissa Leone joins us after attending the special board meeting of the Mill Creek Township School Board in Pennsylvania, where discussions centered on the district's legal next steps. Larissa, what conclusion did the board reach?
Well, Stephanie, Ian Roberts served as superintendent of the Mill Creek Township School District for 3 years, and tonight at a special board meeting, all 10 of the school board members voted to pursue legal action against Dr. Ian Roberts himself, as well as the hiring firm the district contracted to vet him. Before his time as the superintendent of Des Moines Public Schools, Ian Roberts served as the superintendent of Northern Pennsylvania Mill Creek Township School District from August 13th, 2020 through June 30th, 2023.
Ian Roberts was hired following a vetting and search process conducted by Ray & Associates Incorporated, a national education executive leadership search firm that was hired by the school board.
Following Roberts' detainment and recent news about his immigration and criminal status, the Mill Creek Township School Board met to discuss whether or not the district should look into pursuing legal action against Ray & Associates, the firm responsible for the hiring of Ian Roberts.
We are looking at potential breach of contract, fraudulent misrepresentation, or fraud in the inducement claims against them.
And Roberts himself.
The Mill Creek community as a whole has been betrayed, and we are infuriated at this deception.
Much like DMPS Board Chair Jackie Norris, MTSD's Board President Gary Winchell says Ray & Associates and the FBI did not flag any reason not to hire Ian Roberts.
No disqualifying events were identified. There's also no indication of any criminal activity which the district could lawfully consider as part of the hiring process.
There was also no reported red flags found after Roberts filed his I-9 form, though the school board says the way Roberts filled out the form was not as they are typically done.
In this case, they were not filled out in person because it was during COVID. So there was a special dispensation, if you will, by the Department of Human Services that allowed for that.
Now, this board meeting did have public comment, and many constituents shared their frustration with the board and the possible cost of pursuing these lawsuits. Stephanie?
State Senator Claire Celsi has passed away at the age of 59. She represented parts of West Des Moines at the Capitol since 2019, but her impact on the community started long before that. Local 5's J.D. Snover spoke with two West Des Moines leaders about how they hope she'll be remembered.
Yeah, Stephanie, before Celsi ever even thought about running for the state Senate in 2018, she was already heavily integrated into the West Des Moines community. That includes serving on the Valley Junction Board of Directors. Now, those who knew her best say that they hope her legacy isn't just about politics, but about the woman who always showed up for her community.
Claire was a very loving and caring human being.
West Des Moines Democrats President Al Womble says he wants people to remember Senator Celsi not just as a lawmaker, but as a friend to many.
I remember when she first won her Senate seat, she brought over everybody who had helped work on the campaign. And she actually gave each and every one of us a certificate of appreciation. And she didn't just do that, but she also would explain to the entire group why you deserved that certificate of appreciation.
Her 7 sessions as a state senator capped off a lifetime of dedication to the communities that surrounded her, including over 20 years on the historic Valley Junction Foundation Board of Directors.
She was, a champion of Valley Junction.
Felicia Coe is a business owner in the area like Celsi was, who also serves on the Board of Directors.
I'm really thankful for her. It's really inspired me to be a little braver, to speak out more, and to use what little platform I have to try to make change.
And while Womble knows what comes next, a special election to fill the seat, he hopes people take a moment to reflect on the person behind the title.
Yeah, there's stuff that we're going to need to do. But right now, let's think about Claire Celsi, the human being. Let's think about Claire Celsi, the human being, and make sure that, we honor that person who gave so much to our community.
Dr. Ian Roberts barely came up at all at the bond listening session here at Zion Lutheran Church. He was a big advocate for the bond, and the district, now tasked with convincing voters it's still worthwhile.
This plan is bigger than one person.
Des Moines Public Schools developed the bond called the Reimagining Education Plan to address declining enrollment numbers.
We have had an enrollment decline for the past 7 years of 2,200 students. That equates to a $16 million reduction in state funding.
Tasha Brown with DMPS says the district is working to rebuild trust by holding community listening sessions like the one on Tuesday.
When it comes to trust, it requires action. A lot of people say, just trust me and we'll do it. Well, you also have to give us an opportunity, right, to show you that you can trust us.
I am in those buildings. I am providing care for those students.
At times, the meeting got heated after one community member questioned the cost to taxpayers.
Why can't we do more of that rather than going and having a huge bond issue here?
Another community member later responded to the individual, saying it's important to remember the plan is about the students.
But I think we need to focus on the children and the district and what, if we don't do this, what that will mean.
Brown chipped in, saying the district's situation is dire as DMPS last held a bond election in 1989.
We've been kicking the can down the road and kicking the can down the road. Folks, we can't kick it anymore. Okay? Our community is in trouble if Des Moines Public Schools does not thrive.
The Reimagining Education Plan retires 4 district buildings, and Brown warned even more could close if the bond does not pass.
We already have overcrowded buildings, specifically in our middle schools and our high schools, right? And so we will be seeing us having to make even more challenging and difficult things.
In Des Moines, Alex Fulton, Local 5 News.
Iowa farmers are continuing to navigate a challenging economy, facing the ripple effects of a government shutdown while also tackling harvest season. Local 5's Larissa Leone spoke with an agricultural economist about the factors contributing to this strain and how we can support local farmers.
Well, many farmers in Iowa are resilient and accustomed to the ups and downs of the business. However, Senator Chuck Grassley and an agricultural economist both note this farming season has proven to be particularly challenging.
Harvest season is upon us, which means Iowa farmers are likely to be working long hours in the fields with low grain prices, high input costs, and trade uncertainties. Senator Chuck Grassley recently addressed Congress, highlighting that farmers have many concerns during their time in the combines.
Perfect storm brewing for farmers in my state of Iowa and in agricultural states generally.
Grassley expressed that one of his major concerns is the decline in land value in Iowa. He noted that land values have decreased by 3% since last year and by 5.5% since 2023. He compared this decline to the infamous farm crisis of the 1980s.
In the 1980s, that didn't happen overnight. It kind of crept up on us very slowly, and we don't want to let that happen again. So we need to be vigilant today.
Iowa Farm Bureau economist Christopher Pudin says Q1 of 2025 had more farm bankruptcies in Iowa than he expected to see, echoing Grassley's remarks on the struggle farmers are facing in the current economy.
Going forward, certainly if we don't get some of this trade stuff sorted out, things are going to continue to be tough.
Pudin's also highlighted the ongoing struggle with trade uncertainties, especially China's reduced soybean purchases.
This year, they haven't bought a single bushel of soybeans, which certainly serves as a drag on the prices that farmers receive when we're harvesting our crop this fall.
Now, Senator Grassley is also calling on Congress to act now to ensure farmers' mental health doesn't decline due to this strenuous circumstances of this farm season and the ripple effects it may have on others, noting he doesn't want to see the increase of farmers committing suicide like they did during the 1980s farm crisis. Stephanie.
More in today, Des Moines city leaders will take a second vote on amending the city's public camping ban.
This proposal would remove a provision keeping the city from issuing fines when homeless shelters are full. Local 5's Megan McPherson is live in Des Moines. Megan, I know that you spoke with city leaders who are divided on this issue.
Yeah, I did, Dana and Joseph. And at tonight's special council meeting, which will take place here at Des Moines City Hall, the council will conduct a vote, a second vote rather, on a proposed change to the city's public camping ordinance, which was initially passed in September of last year. So right now, the ordinance says that somebody found in violation of the ban cannot be fined if there is no space available in a shelter or if they cannot afford to pay that fine. This amendment that's being suggested would remove both defenses, and that's in part because the city recently approved an agreement to expand capacity at Central Iowa Shelter and Services, which is here in downtown Des Moines. Now, that agreement was approved last month and will allow the shelter to add 25 spots for homeless individuals. It will also allow the city to give CIS a one-time $300,000 reserve and assign Des Moines police to the shelter. However, Councilmember Josh Mandelbaum does not support removing those defenses from the ordinance, and he argues that this change would make the ban more punitive.
If there are more folks who are experiencing homelessness and there's less capacity, even with the additional capacity now, we could still run into that same issue where there's not shelter space available and we are arresting or fining people.
Mandelbaum's fellow councilmember Chris Coleman is on the other side of this. He says the new agreement with CIS will ensure that space is available in the shelter, and that makes the fine exemption unnecessary.
We've had a lot of fires and abandoned homes and buildings, and the citizens of Des Moines want us to do something about that. Our goal isn't to cite or punish anybody. It's to make sure that they have options to get off the street into program services.
And some advocacy groups are siding with Mandelbaum, saying the city is prioritizing punishment over investments in resources and affordable housing. I asked Coleman about that, and he says that the council has recently approved several initiatives to expand those very resources. Now, another thing with this, Mandelbaum says Chris Coleman says that as the agreement currently stands, or as the ordinance currently stands, that it causes some legal jeopardy for the police officers who are on the ground working with homeless individuals and trying to get them into shelters. Mandelbaum says he's been working to address that with him, and that he has drafted several different versions of this ordinance to address some of those legal liabilities while also keeping the affirmative defenses in the ordinance. Tonight's special meeting will begin at 4:30. Live in Des Moines this morning, Megan McPherson, Local 5 News.
Well, tonight the Des Moines City Council took a second vote on amending the city's public camping ban. Local 5's Larissa Leone attended that meeting. And Larissa, what was decided and how did the council respond to that proposal?
Well, Stephanie, tonight's session, as you said, was the second reading the proposed change. The proposal was to remove a provision keeping the city from issuing fines when homeless shelters are full. The ordinance says someone violating the ban can't be fined if there's no shelter space or if they can't afford to pay. All but 2 members of the council voted to carry the motion forward. Councilman Josh Mandelbaum criticized the measure, arguing it only makes the ban harsher on the city's most vulnerable population.
Because I intend to keep working on language that will address concerns, at least the concerns I've heard to date, while not, in my mind, making what I was concerned with as a punitive ordinance more punitive.
Those on the council who were in support of the change to the ordinances say they were motivated to protect the potential liability issue local law enforcement could face, like punitive damages.
Our police officers are not indemnified against punitive damages that can be added to cases if we violate someone's constitutional rights. And the way in which our ordinance was written a year ago raises significant questions about that.
DMACC is pressing pause on plans to sell the Evelyn K. Davis Center. We first told you last month that the college wanted to sell the resource center due to funding challenges. Local 5's Alex Fulton shares what caused DMACC to reevaluate and the path forward from here.
DMACC was supposed to hold a public forum on Wednesday at the Evelyn K. Davis Center. That meeting was canceled as the college reconsiders what to do with the space.
A lot of people see it as the place to start.
13 years ago, the Evelyn K. Davis Center opened, offering on-site job interviews and job training to underserved communities.
If you don't know where to start, Evelyn K. Davis Center is a good door to walk in and say, where do I go from here?
In September, DMACC President Rob Denson told Local 5 he planned to sell the building to St. Vincent de Paul. Denson says the college reversed course after hearing concerns from the community at a public forum that had 100 people in attendance.
Mainly it was that we were moving too fast. The first thing they heard was buildings for sale, everything's going to change, St. Vincent de Paul is going to take it all over.
DMACC will now be assembling an advisory committee made up of community members and stakeholders who will weigh different options.
I think we're going to start by looking at the various programs that the Evelyn K. Davis Center does, and are there some that should be better handled by another community-based organization.
I asked Denson if selling the building is still a possibility at this point.
Nothing's off the table right now because the best idea may still be out there, but we've suspended any thought of sale until we complete this community process.
The CEO of St. Vincent de Paul, Steve Havman, told Local 5 in a statement that he supports DMACC's decision and wants what's best for Central Iowa.
The advisory committee will meet regularly over the next several months. The goal is to have a concrete plan on the center's next steps by June 30th, 2026. In Des Moines, Alex Fulton, Local 5 News.
Well, our neighbors in Nebraska now have access to a carbon sequestration pipeline. But here in Iowa, similar projects are still hitting roadblocks. Local 5's J.D. Snover checked in with folks on both sides of the issue to see where they stand.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Stephanie. This year, Iowa corn production's up, but prices are down. Supporters of a proposed carbon pipeline say it could help open new markets and boost demand for farmers. But for many landowners, safety remains a major concern. And now a legal battle over who gets to regulate these pipelines could also be headed to the U.S. Supreme Court.
We have to grow demand.
Iowa Renewable Fuels Association Executive Director Monty Shaw says a carbon pipeline could be a long-term solution for Iowa's corn farmers by increasing ethanol production.
But at the end of the day, nothing will solve this problem until we grow demand or reduce production, and reducing production would be devastating to the economy of Iowa and the Midwest.
More ethanol production means more competition for corn and potentially better prices for farmers.
It might be on a Saturday morning at 6 a.m. You'll find 200 farmers will crawl out of bed because the basis is good.
But not everyone's convinced.
Just because they say something doesn't mean it's true.
Dan Tronchetti owns land in Greene County. He's skeptical of the pipeline's promises and says ethanol plants are already profitable without it, including one in northwest Iowa.
They're already producing low carbon intensity ethanol, and they are selling their ethanol in California.
Safety concerns have also sparked pushback. Summit Carbon Solutions sued Story and Shelby counties over local regulations. Courts have mostly sided with Summit, but last Friday, county attorneys filed a petition with the U.S. Supreme Court. Their filing says in part, quote, "Only this court can restore the balance Congress struck between federal authority over technical pipeline safety standards and state and local authority over land use." Now, the High Court has until November 6th to decide if it will take that case up, Stephanie.
Harvest season is in full swing across Iowa, and farmers are seeing strong yields in their soybean fields. But behind those numbers lies a growing concern. Ongoing trade tensions with China are threatening to undercut profits and long-standing relationships. Local 5's J.D. Snover shows us how local producers are feeling the pressure.
Farmers have been out in the field using equipment like this to harvest their soybeans, but they say looming trade tensions have led to problems that could go unsolvable if they stick around for too long.
And you can't just flip the switch back on after you've turned it off.
The president of the Iowa Farmers Union says a strong harvest is promising on paper. But when China, one of America's biggest soybean buyers, hasn't made a purchase in months, it's a different story.
That means the soybeans that we have, the price we receive for them just goes down. And right now it's way below the cost of production. So for every soybean that we're producing, we're losing money.
Last week, President Donald Trump posted on social media about an upcoming meeting with the Chinese president at the Asia-Pacific Economic Summit in South Korea. He claimed China is holding out to negotiate and says in part, quote, "I love our patriots, and every farmer is exactly that. Make soybeans and other row crops great again." But Lehman says time is not on the farmer's side, and the grain bins are filling quickly.
A lot of farmers are choosing that option, but eventually they have to hit the market.
With nowhere to pass them along to, sometimes decades-long relationships vanish.
Farmers invest in building trade relationships. They join organizations, they invest in building relationships with buyers around the world, and you build that relationship over time.
And once those bonds are broken, Lehman says, rebuilding them isn't easy.
5 years ago, we lost a lot of customers. China started buying more and more soybeans from Brazil, for instance. Some of those buyers have not come back to us. It takes a long time to build these relationships.
In Polk City, I'm J.D. Snover, Local 5 News.
In a unanimous decision, the Des Moines School Board approved a 2-year contract for interim superintendent Matt Smith. The day former superintendent Dr. Ian Roberts was arrested by ICE, it was announced Smith would assume the role. Local 5's Alex Fulton met with Smith for the first time since that scandal.
Well, Stephanie, Matt Smith is no stranger to leading Iowa's largest school district. He served as interim superintendent in 2022 and 2023 before Dr. Ian Roberts was hired. Today I spoke with Smith about how he got his position, his plan for the district, and if he'd consider doing the gig full-time.
That day you were appointed interim superintendent. What did that process look like?
It's in our succession plan, so it's a built-in structure that the board adopted several years ago. And so it was just an immediate sort of appointment just based on the circumstances. And what that affords me to do is to operationalize all the things that are happening in our school district.
I know you've done this before, been interim superintendent. Are you drawing any inspiration or anything you learned last time with your new kind of endeavor here?
Well, I like to think that I'm a few years wiser, and I've learned, I've been in the role before. And so there's many of those aspects and those details of just being a superintendent I am familiar with at this point in time.
What would you say are your goals over the next 2 school years?
The first goal is to pass a bond referendum. The second goal is to continue to improve and build upon the work that we've done in the last several years, creating safe environments where teaching and learning is at the highest quality.
Are you interested in pursuing the superintendent job full-time? Did you apply for it last time?
I did not apply for it last time, and I haven't really made any, decision on whether or not I would pursue it full-time. I can tell you that I am more than energized about a 2-year contract to be in this role, and I am incredibly excited about the work ahead of us.
Now, Smith also touched on his own relationship with Roberts and how teachers are navigating conversations with students about the former superintendent. I also spoke with the president of the Des Moines Education Association, Ann Cross. This was her reaction to Smith's selection as interim superintendent.
Thankful. I have 100% confidence in Matt Smith, and he just provides stability and continuity that we need in DMPS right now. He knows the district. He knows the Reimagine plan. He knows what's at stake right now, and he is ready to step in the role and make things happen.
A country music superstar is coming to Iowa this spring as part of his My Kind of Saturday Night World Tour. Luke Combs will be performing at Jack Trice Stadium in Ames on April 11th, 2026. He will be joined by other country names, including Dierks Bentley, Ty Myers, Jake Worthington, and Thelma and James. A Local 5's Emma Stroner joins us from Ames to preview the concert, from staff preparation to the dreams some students have of seeing him live.
One of today's most famous country artists is coming to this stadium in 6 months, but Iowa State is already preparing now for his arrival. Nick Jose, Iowa State University's Senior Associate Athletics Director, says it was a combined effort between staff and Combs' team to bring a globally known artist to Iowa. When I asked if ISU felt they were in the right time and place to host such a big musician, he says the Cyclones' reputation might have helped.
I think the Cyclones are really hot in a lot of areas right now, and I think this is just one more verification, validation, if you will, of that.
In May of 2024, the stadium welcomed George Strait, another coined country legend. Jose tells Local 5 that event has prepared staff for the anticipated sold-out concert.
I think we learned a lot from the George Strait concert. This will be different in the fact that this concert will be when they were in school, whereas the George Strait concert was they were out of school. So I'm sure it will be a mix of everyone.
Like Joe said, Combs' performance is during the school year, which means they're expecting many students to show up.
I've listened to him for a long time. He's like one of my favorite country artists.
For these two students, they will be paying homage to their freshman year when they played this song on repeat.
One Number Away. Yeah, One Number Away.
100%. Our entire freshman year, that was our thing. As members of the ISU gymnastics team, they plan to bring the whole squad when they heard of the news in the training room this morning.
It's right after our season, so it's like perfect timing. We'll just be done. Everything will be winding down, so it'll be like a end of the year hurrah. I'll go to the concert.
In Ames, Emma Stroner, Local 5 News.